Object oriented. So C# is a object oriented programming. What is object oriented programming? Everything we will create as a objects. Everything will consider as a objects. The entire program, entire project we are going to create as a objects. Object oriented programming. So why we go for object oriented programming? What is the advantage which was there earlier? If you know C language, which is a procedure oriented language, which will execute line by line, right? So object oriented programming, which will execute method by method. Okay. And the program execution will start from a main method. So in the object oriented programming, everything we will write in the form of classes, right? Like we have seen Smalltalk, C++, Go, Java, Python, all are object oriented programming. Similarly, C# fully support object-oriented programming. Okay, so in this object-oriented programming, we'll be having different concepts, mainly like class, object, abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. So these four: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, we'll call it as a pillars of object-oriented programming. These are all the four base pillars of object-oriented programming. So what is class? Okay. So in the object-oriented programming, why we go for a object-oriented programming? With this, it will be more modular, reusable, easy to manage, in the sense maintenance. So programming will be more modular. So we are divide the code into more structured. Okay, code will be more structured. When we use object-oriented programming, code will be more structured and which is reusable. What is reusable? You created one component, similar component you have to create again. So everywhere, if you want to create another component, it will be duplicate of effort, duplicate of code, right? Instead of making duplicate, let's reuse. Okay, create once, use many times. Okay, for example, mail sending functionality. Okay, email sending. So there will be multiple places you may need to send the notifications. For example, once user is registered, you send one notification, you registered. Forget a password, you have to send one link for that mail sending required. He has to change the password. We have to tell him, we have to notify him. He changed the password. Okay. Or multiple times a user tried to log in. Multiple times a user trying to log in, suspicious activity going on. We have to intimate the user. All these things. Okay. Multiple times we need to use the email sending functionality. Okay. So subject body will be changes. The functionality keep remains same. Right? Email sending common for all the places. So this is one example. If you want to create a reusable code, then use an object-oriented program. With the help of object-oriented program, we can reuse the code. We no need, once you create some code, we no need to create again and again. We can reuse that. And it is easy to manage. Manage in the sense maintenance. For example, you created some code. Someone just want to see the code. She can easily understand if the code is more modular, more secure. Or you left the company, he joined some other time. So while seeing the code itself, we should easily understand what it is doing. Suppose something is breaking, where I need to look, right? So that is the advantage with the help of object-oriented programming. Okay. So in this object-oriented programming, mainly we have to discuss about the class. What is class? So in C++, class is a collection of data members and member functions. Class is a collection of data members and member functions in C++. And what we will tell, this is also correct. As a definition, this is also correct. So we will try to give a different definition. So what I'll tell, class is a template or class is a blueprint or class is a container. So this is my definition. Why I am telling this? What is template or blueprint? It is a design. It is a basic structure. For example, if you want to construct a building, first what you need a plan. There you will write this is the floor, this is everything, picture. But it is existing. No, there is no physical existence. By imaginary form, we'll write one sample like that. That is called class. Class means doesn't exist. It's just a imaginary form, which doesn't exist physically. That is nothing but class. For example, car is a class. Example, car. So car physically exists, no sir. We may tell. Correct? Car physically exists, sir. Okay. Bird, animal, person, employee, student, movie. Anything is a class. Okay. Uh, Class is a template or blueprint or container. Why I am telling car doesn't exist, bird doesn't exist. Birds are there, no? Animals are there, person is there, employee is there. So I am telling it's a imaginary form which doesn't exist physically. There is no existence. Exactly. Okay. Car, there is no such thing called car. Car is like when we have some shape with windows, doors, four tires, then we are calling it as a car. So what is existing physically? BMW, Baleno, Shift, or Nexa. That is the actual things. Car means it's a common, it's a generic. Okay, it's a template. Car is a template. Car is a blueprint, right? So whatever you want, you can write your own. Similarly, bird. We have birds like parrot, peacock, eagle, but there is no such. This is called bird. This is called eagle. No, it's a classification name, group name. Similarly, person, employee, student, okay, movie, anything we can consider as a class because which doesn't exist physically. Which is exist physically, that is called object. Object exists physically. Okay. So what is object? Object is the instance of class. Means representation of class. Class representation of your object. Student is a class. Ram is a object. Student is a class. Krishna is a object. Student is an animal. Tiger, lion, elephant are the objects. Okay. Got it? This is the relation between class and object. So, what is class? I can tell class is the collection of objects. Correct? Object is the instance of class. Okay. So, we are going to create an instance of that particular class is called object. What is object? Object is a real-time entity. Means a real world existing thing. We'll call it as a object. Got it? What is a class? Class is a as template or a blueprint or a container, which is a collection of objects. It contains the data members. Data members is nothing but your variables, properties, fields. Member function is nothing but the methods. Class is a collection of members and methods. Okay. So now, what is object? Object is a instance of class or real-time entity which really exists in the world. Either you can see or touch, that is object, which exists really. Okay. So now let's see how can I create the class in C sharp. You'll see. So how to create class? See here, go to your solutions program, right click, add class. Okay. So everything in C sharp programming, we are going to create as classes. Okay. I want to create a class, employee. This is my class. Okay. How to create an employee class? By default, this is the access modifier for the class internal. Okay. So how can I create a class? I can have properties, for example, employee ID, employee name, employee first name, employee last name, age, salary, date of birth. These are all the properties. Or what is class? Class is a collection of members and methods. These are all the members of the class. And how can I create the method? For example, public void. Why void? No need to return anything. Display employee details. This is my method. So in this method, I am going to write employee ID. Here, program is no, there is no main method. When you have a main method, then only. Okay. So employee ID is employee ID. Employee first name is employee first name. Employee last name is employee last name. So use date of birth. Both are not required. Only one with this option. Date of birth and salary. Okay. This is the method. So what is the class now? Combination of members plus methods. Correct? Or we'll call it as a data members This will calculate the member functions in C++. Now we create the class, right? So as we know, we need a main method. Then only the program execution will start. Will start here, will end here. In between, whatever you ask to execute, only those things will get executed. We have created the properties and methods now. So this is a class. As we know, if you have a class, we can't do anything, right? We need an object. So how you create a object? This is how we'll create the object. What is the syntax? Class name, class name, object name equals new class name. Okay. So how can I create class? Employee, employee equals to new employee. Okay. So employee is your class. EMP is the object name. Okay. So now how can I assign the values? EMP dot employee ID equals 1001. EMP dot first name equals to EMP dot last name equals from EMP dot date of birth equals date time right now dot add years of minus 20 means 20 years back date of birth it will be. Next EMP dot salary equals and okay, like this we are going to create the object and we can assign the values to it. So memory, this is called declaration, employee EMP. So when you use this new instance, new to create the instance, we use a new keyword, right? This time it will create the memory location for your object employee. Okay, this is declaration. This is the initialization. When we use the new, this will create the instance. That particular time, memory will get allocated to the employee object when we use new employee. Okay. So now salary is like this. Okay. So now what is the method to display the employee details? Display employee details. Employee dot emp dot display employee details. So now what is the method? Console dot read or read key to make visible for longer time. Okay. Now I'll create the debugger here. Now let me start running my application. Running. Okay, came here. So it came to main method. Okay. As we know, program execution instruction main. Now, what is EMP null? Because we still didn't pass this line. That's why. Okay. Once you pass, it will become new employee. It is going to initialize with the default values. We'll see that later. So now I'm assigning the values, employee ID, name, first name, last name, date of birth, salary, and I last use it to display the details. Now see, what is the employee ID? 1001. First name, last name, date of birth, salary. So now click on continue. I will show you the output like this. Got it? So this is how the output will look. Try to create a similar program for customer or student.